Hello, everybody. This is Ann Quinn with Carnegie Public Library, and today my guest is Dr. Vickey Leasure. Vickey, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Let me start by saying that I can never express my gratitude for what this library has done for myself and my family, and I hope most of the rest of our community.
You've always been our biggest cheerleader, Vickey.
And I can still remember walking up the front steps the first time I came here, and I thought I was going to the White House.
Did you really? It is
I
very
did.
grand. It is very
I
grand.
came in the door when the old wooden catalog card was there.
Yes, yes.
And they were huge and beautiful. And then you come in under the skylight, and I must have taken 10 minutes to just come in the entrance.
You were suitably impressed by
Carnegie
Public Library.
I was.
And you have been a supporter and an encourager and a donor and a user of the library ever since.
Thank you so much. But I have reaped the rewards sevenfold.
Well, you know what? The first time I met you, you were on a break from your job in, I used to say the Philippines, it's not the Taiwan, in Taiwan. And you were still traveling back and forth between the States and Taiwan. And that was the first time that I met you. How many years ago was that when you were in Taiwan?
I probably looked pretty bleary-eyed, didn't I? It's a 24-hour flight.
Yeah, it was a lot of
one
jet
flight,
lag.
combined flights.
And you were there for how many years? 2 years?
For 2.
But I remember you came back for a summer, and you brought your grandchildren with you, and I remember having all these interesting talks with you, and then you moved back to the United States.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are really having a conversation with the world's most interesting woman.
Don't push it, the pressure's on.
You know, there's a commercial on TV, I don't know what it's for, but the world's most interesting man. You're the world's most interesting woman because your career has been so varied and rich.
Eclectic.
Eclectic.
Is the word.
And I mean, it fascinates me. I think you have embraced life, the golden brass ring, and you've embraced life. And that's one of the things I enjoy about you, Vickey.
And I read Lee Iacocca's autobiography, who was, he was with Ford, and he was a very good CEO. And then he saved Chrysler from the ashes. And I was going to start a painting business, a sign painting business. I actually did quite a few of the signs at Fairgrounds one year.
Did you really? See, I didn't know that about you.
The business model. So I read Lee Iacocca's autobiography, and I learned very quickly that I wasn't Lee Iacocca, and I better go back to teaching.
And counselor. And what a lot of people may not know about you, you've been a flight attendant.
Correct.
For what airlines?
Actually, Republic Airlines paid us, but mostly I flew U.S. Air, which is now American.
Yes.
Right.
And did you mainly do the Columbus to Washington, D.C. route?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. You know, we went to Toronto and Mexico, so we did some international and anywhere in the States.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a certain congressman that was on your flights at the time. That's why I assumed you flew to D.C. a lot. That was a congressman and then governor and quasi-presidential candidate
John
for a while.
Casey,
yes.
who would say, another Coke over here. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
I loved him, actually. He would get everyone's attention on the plane and say, you all better vote for whatever. He was not shy.
So we're talking about John Casey.
John Casey.
Yes.
Yes, we were talking
yes,
about.
And I knew that you flew with him many times. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's
many
wonderful.
Times.
Yeah.
It was great. It was. But let me tell you something about the flight attendant part.
Okay.
So very quickly, I found out that every plane is just another classroom.
Okay.
And they all have their different personalities. And I quickly switched from the flight attendant chat to counselor chat, and all was better. Yes, you're active listening. Yes, I hear that you're so upset about being so late. Instead of saying, there's nothing I can do about it. And everyone was better.
And they acknowledged.
I acknowledged them.
Yes.
What they were going
through.
There's
no doubt in my mind that you were fabulous in
but
that.
They did throw a lot of trash on the floor.
How many years were you a flight attendant?
5.
5 years.
Yes.
And because of that, you have been around the world maybe 5 times, Miss Vickey?
Well, because what a lot of people didn't know at that time even was that if you were a flight attendant for 5 years, you got free flight benefits for the rest of your life.
I didn't know that.
And Bill and I probably spent $80,000 worth of free flight, but saved that much. We didn't spend it.
Right.
We saved it, yes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing it anymore.
Oh, they've stopped the benefits?
A lot of benefits have stopped.
Because of COVID?
No, because the airlines
are they're losing money right and left.
They can't. They're trying to make money.
But you made hay while you could, because you
I still doing it. I still have that benefit.
Oh, you do still have that?
I'll have that benefit. They took it away for new retarees.
Oh, okay, you've been
I
grandfathered in.
don't have that benefit until.
Okay. Any trips coming up?
I want to go to Peru next year.
Peru?
Yes.
Okay. Why Peru?
But this is a good story. It's a little story,
okay.
But I will tell you why. So a friend that I taught with for many years has a birthday June 12th. Mine is June 13th. And we decided early on that we would take a trip together to celebrate our birthdays every single year. I think we're on our 23rd year.
Wow.
So we went to Hilton Head this time, and I recommend staying home, but we paid, and we were going to lose our money, so we went with the cautions of doing everything we could. We ate early. We only ate on the docks,
outside.
Not inside. Right, we did everything we could to be careful and safe, and it played out for
I'm
us.
just curious though, why Peru? I mean, I've always wanted to go to Peru myself. But
I've never been to that part of the country, and that is about what's left on the bucket list. So other countries to visit, but I haven't been to that part of the country. And I'm just intrigued by the terrain. And another reason, a girl I taught with in Taiwan owns property there and just retired, and she's living there. So I have a connection.
How long will you go for?
9 days.
9 days.
It's all set up.
Oh, you do have it set up.
Kind of. There's a thing called Go Bus. This is not a luxury trip, ladies and gentlemen. This is go like hippies. We take a backpack and we get on this thing called Go Bus. You can get on and off wherever you want, and it basically takes you through the entire country. So we have.
See, this is why you're one of the world's most interesting people, because you're so adventuresome, and you're willing just to do things on a whim. And
we just found out about it. It looked like it looked like more fun than the typical planned events.
Yes. Well, you know, just to visit to your house is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Vickey is an incredible hostess, an incredible gourmet cook. I've been a guest in your home, and more than the fabulous food is the ambiance that you create, and it's the fun that we have. And she always somehow gets you to participate in something, and usually I'm a reluctant.
Making boats.
We've made boats, we floated them down the creek. I was assaulted by a million bees. We played these games. We've done all kinds of we made biscotti.
Oh, yes. We made biscotti.
I had the worst biscotti
and the plan this year was to make Chinese dumplings, but COVID
got in the way. Yeah, so you know how to throw a great dinner party.
She's really putting the pressure on.
I want to get invited back again.
I want to have fun, and we're only in this one time around on Earth, as far as I know. So just try to put a little. Try to help me. I do my best.
Yes, you do. Well, as you know, we recently honored you with a collection of children's cookbooks called Vic's Cook Nook, and I did a little. I talked about your books that you donated and that we purchased with your donations because she's such a fabulous cook, and so we had a book talk, and that was just those cookbooks are amazing.
A disclaimer. She's never been around when something flops. I never let them see that. And it happens frequently.
That makes me feel better. That makes me feel better that not everything is perfect.
Never know, Ann.
Yeah, but the library just appreciates you so much and your enthusiasm. And it's not just your donations, Vickey, it's your encouragement. That's what we've appreciated, is that you've always encouraged us, and you've always have told us we're doing a good job, and you appreciate what we do, and that means a lot, because sometimes you don't hear that often.
So kind. Let me tell you one story.
Okay.
In a way that you reciprocated to me. That's a great story.
Okay.
You kept me from having to get repeated shots in my arm.
What was that?
Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
So at one point, when I was a teacher, I had an astronaut club, and I don't know why this happened, but it became the largest astronaut club in America. This was in Chillicothe. Alan Bean came, gave me a kiss right there. Fourth man on the moon, Skylab commander. At any rate, I had the opportunity to go to space camp, adult space camp. And as the process unfolded, I found out that you had to take a big test when you got there. And where you were placed in the mission was determined by your score.
Oh no.
I about had a panic attack. I did have a panic attack. I could not, in a month's time, pull myself up to a level of any astronaut competence.
Well, who could?
So I did the next best thing.
Okay.
I came to this library, and Debbie Roby was here, and Debbie said, read all the children's books you can. Now, I didn't take back, no, that, really, okay, I'll do it. I read 80 books.
Does Debbie know this story?
I doubt that she does.
And
But
Debbie
she
Roby
may.
was the head of Children's Services for 20 years. And she's read everything under the sun. And so she told you to read every book.
Every book related to science or space,
And you'll be an
particularly
expert.
space, astronauts, etc. So I did that, and I took notes. I went to this event, a 3-day event. I took the test, and guess what I got?
100?
I didn't. But I got second.
Did you really?
I beat out engineers. I beat out scientists. And at some point, a couple people came to me and said, how in the world could a 4th grade teacher, which is what I was doing at the time, get this score? And I said, I read children's books. They didn't believe me. I'm like, no, it's true. I read 80 children's books.
And you
And I got enough basics to at least make educated guesses.
right.
And I got to be a mission specialist.
That is a phenomenal
the people
story.
that did low, and it really happened, I saw it, went to the back, and they had experiments done on them, and they actually had shots every day. I was like, I'm not going there. So it played out. Debbie, thank you. I'm sitting in a chair.
That's dedicated to Debbie Roby.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you once
So,
again.
I remember reading in the 1980s in Esquire magazine, and they said if you want to become an expert on something, all you need to do is read at least 5 books, children's books, and you pretty much will become more of an expert than the average
Enough
person.
to have a good discussion.
To have a good discussion,
That's
because
true.
children's books are concise, they are written extremely well because they're trying to keep the attention of a tough audience.
And there were a couple out of that 80 that I had a little difficult navigating.
So it is true, but I did not know the story that Debbie told you and how well that it prepared you
It was
for this
amazing.
test. That's a good story
That
you
is a
had
good
shared
story.
before.
I have another Debbie story, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
I'd love to
So
hear
when I was working on my doctorate, I had worked on it and then quit because I had 2 little boys, and I got that letter that says, if you don't come back, you're losing your credits. Okay, oh boy, so here we go, 2 little boys, I have to go back or lose it. So I went back. I could not be running to Columbus every single day.
Mhm.
And once again, I came in and Debbie and I were just talking, and she said, did you know that you can order all these materials for your study and we'll have them delivered right here to the Carnegie? I got passed out. It was amazing.
It was a
Week
lifesaver.
after week after week, Debbie ordered boxes of materials for me to work on my thesis, and we got it done. And I didn't have to go to Columbus again, at least not for that purpose.
Interlibrary loan, we love
I
it.
know.
That's
and what's
great.
that called? You still do it.
It's interlibrary loan.
Interlibrary loan, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
but I would literally pick up boxes that neither of us could carry. Bill would have to carry in the
Now,
car.
was it free?
It was free.
Because when I was in college, you had to pay like
It was
$5
free.
every time you got a book.
Now I had to pay to copy things, but I ended up working around that here and there. But
See?
I mean, I cannot tell you the hours and time that she alone saved me. I mean, I'd bring in my list, and somewhere, somehow, she would find these materials for me in this state, or some
Probably
even
through
out
the
of
State Library of Ohio, we have broader access, and we can actually order even out of state. So that probably saved you a ton of money too. Not only your time, but saved you a ton of money from not having to
Probably
purchase.
so.
Yes,
So.
that's a
Time
good
is
library
right.
story,
I
Vicky.
know. I have no withholdings in letting everybody know how wonderful she was and how lucky you are to have this replacement. The free Washington Courthouse is an amazing place in regard to the library.
Well, thank you, thank you. I think everybody that works here, we feel blessed. It's just, it is.
And it shows, Ann. When you come in, there's happiness here.
Yeah, it is. We like to wake up in the morning and our feet hit the floor and it's like, yay, I get to go to the library. Yeah. So speaking of the library, what are you reading right now?
I just finished a book that was not in my genre at all. I picked it up at church. I don't even know why I picked it up, because I needed a book to read, and I didn't know if you were open or not. So I took this book home. I actually wrote it down. It's by Bernard Cornwall. I called The Flame Bearer, and I loved it. It was full of gore, blood, killing, murder. This man finally, he's a Nordic, amazing, bearded, stinky Viking guy. And he gets his castle back that's been taken by an uncle at some point.
Okay.
But it was riveting, and I never read anything like that.
I would never take you for a person that would enjoy the gore.
Kay said she was a nerd. I'm even more of a nerd. I like autobiographies, biographies, historical fiction.
So do I.
Pretty much stick right to that.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've inspired me to want to read that book, as if you liked it.
It was Bernard Cornwall, The Flame Bearer.
Is that a recent book?
It's huge.
Is it recent or is it an old book?
Know.
Okay, we'll look that up.
I didn't look it up. I mean, I don't remember. I read everything on the outside cover before I start, but I just don't remember. Yeah, it was huge, and I thought, I'm just going to go through a couple pages of this. 2 nights later, I'm staying up till 2 in the morning to find out what's happening next.
And you got this at your church library?
I did. Yeah. We have a take and care and take.
Yeah, yes. I love that.
And that's where I got it, yes.
Okay.
There are a few very steamy romances on that table, too.
Okay. Well, I need to check out that table. Yes. Well, what else are you reading? Well, I see you've got a couple of books over there.
I'm about to pick one up. Well, I'll tell you my favorite author.
Okay.
Eric Larson.
Who
Do you
wrote,
know anything about him?
The girl with the dragon tattoo?
I don't remember. I haven't read that one. I saw the movie, right? There's a movie of it. He did, and I'll have to look because I can't remember my authors or titles. Devil in the White City.
Yes. I'm familiar with.
And he did. It was on the Chicago Fair. It was pretty gory too, but it was true.
It was on the bestseller list for a long time.
And he didn't write it down, but it was about a terrible hurricane. I can't recall the title, but I just love what he writes. Again, it's riveting, and you don't want to put it down, and you're there.
I didn't read it, but I know a lot of people who have, and it was on the bestseller list, and everybody said it was phenomenal. And it's not the same author. Larson kind of threw me off as the girl with the dragon tattoo. That's a different Norwegian kind of name. But okay, so I need to read that too.
I love Eric Larson, and I need to read some more, but my favorite all-time author is Norman Vincent Peale.
Really?
Norman Vincent Peale got me my first cheerleading slot.
Well, how in the world did that happen?
I was so shy. Excuse me.
And what's the name of the book?
It's called The Power of Positive Thinking.
Yes.
But he's done others. He's gone now. Power of Positive Living. I got to meet him.
You're kidding.
I was so happy to tell him he changed my life. He did too. That book changed my life.
Oh my goodness.
I was incredibly shy. I hadn't done much of anything.
He would be proud of you. He would be very proud of you, Vicky. Yes, he would. Yeah.
But I decided I was going to try out for cheerleader.
Okay.
And I read this book 5 times. And I went out there. Now,
bristling with
I
confidence.
went out there knowing I could do it if I pushed hard enough. And I went out there and did, I don't want to make it fall over or something. And my normal voice would have been, hey. I went, hey. And they all went like this. Like, what's that little thing doing? Anyway, I got it. And I was
Miami Trace.
Miami Trace. I was so shy that when they announced it on the intercom, the two boys on both sides of me said, "Who's that?" And I had sat by them the whole year. And it did change my life. It forced me to be social. It forced me to get in front of people. And it was the best thing. In fact, when I took my driver's test, the gentleman beside me said, "You're really terrible, but I'm going to pass you because I know you're a Miami Trace cheerleader." That's a true story.
That is unbelievable.
He said, "Don't ever parallel park, just promise me."
Just don't do that.
I still don't.
Neither do I. You know, that book was written either in the late 50s or early
Way
60s.
long ago.
Or
My
maybe
mother,
40s.
I think my mother got it for graduation, and I found it somewhere in a drawer. And
It's really considered one of the most transformative behavioral books that literally millions and millions and millions of people have read this book. But I've never heard as good of a testimonial.
I'm sure there are better.
Yeah,
out there.
that's pretty good.
And he came to one of the local country churches, and I could not wait to beat a path to go there and meet him.
Wasn't he a Presbyterian minister?
I don't recall.
I think he was. I want to say he was. But I love that story. That's wonderful.
It's a good story.
Yes.
It is.
Do you ever get the book out and
I still
reread
think
it?
I've reread it many times.
Yeah.
I have.
It
Now
is.
that one, and again, he did others, but that one really is cat's meow. I didn't care for the others as well as I did that first one, but maybe it was, where I was at, my temperament at the time.
You know, not long ago, maybe a year or so ago, a young man in his late 30s ordered that book through the library, and I ordered it for him, and I thought, not many people his age know about this book.
That's probably true.
And we talked about it a little bit. He said that made a profound influence on him too. He won't say his name, but he lives here in the community.
If you're struggling with any self-confidence,
yes,
that book.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Well, these are some great picks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else do you have on your?
Well, I brought one. You'll probably be surprised about.
Mary Kay Ash was
You
her
know
last
what? Mary Kay Ash, who does the Mary Kay product, she did not start this business until she was a grandma.
She was in her 60s.
So when I became a grandma, I thought I need a little boost builder, and I picked this up, and it's a wonderful little book.
Mm-hmm.
It is much like Norman Vincent Peale's book.
She's an encourager, and that's what you are too.
She is, and I really liked it.
Yes.
So, but
she was a powerhouse.
I've got Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Living, but I couldn't find my other one. It's lost in my library somewhere. But this one, actually, let me pull this one up. I love, like many people do, I like to read things that are directly related to my life because I'm more interested in that. Mm-hmm. So we were going to Key West, and I heard about this Henry Flagler that built the train to Key West. I don't know if you know anything about it. It's called Last Train to Paradise. Wonderful book.
Was this about the hurricane that happened?
It is impartial about that. This was a feat that he was told could not happen. It was not possible to build this railway. And of course he did it. Okay. It was very successful for a very long time. It's what made Key West known to you and to me. Okay. Because no one could get there.
And you just recently, maybe the last 2 years or so, you and Bill were at Key West?
Probably 2 years, right.
Yes.
So I wanted to know all about this, and it was so interesting to read, and then a hurricane did wipe it out, and as you travel, Bill and I actually drove from Florida to Key West, and so you follow in parallel to the road this pieces of the old
so
railway.
It's no longer, I have been to Key West, but it's been so long I don't remember.
Yeah, so it's a good story, and it's, once again, very inspirational, because he wouldn't give up. He said, I'm not a quitter, I'll make it happen, and he did.
That's
amazing.
Made it
happen.
Yeah.
That's just a wonderful read, too.
That sounds good.
And then Central Park, you've probably been to Central Park in
Mhm.
New York. Olmsted
Yes.
was the planner. There's some really good books out about, I believe it was Frederick Olmsted.
Yep, you're right.
There are very good books out about his accomplishments and some things he did right here in Massachusetts, not right here in Ohio. But,
We have a children's book somewhere in here
Do
about
you?
Central Park
oh,
and how it was laid out, and that was a
he wanted
magnificent
it to be
feat.
natural, and of course it's so beautiful.
And it's huge. So it takes up quite a bit of real estate in New York. Yeah.
I took dancing lessons at the Green, what was it called?
Tavern, the Green
The
Tavern.
Green Tavern.
Yes.
Right. For a while, when I was a flight attendant, I was stationed in New York City for about 6 months. You couldn't get out of that. I later got to come to Columbus, but while I was there, of course, I went everywhere. I was there, and I learned the railway right away. And I found out they did dancing lessons at that. What's the name of it again? The Green Tavern. The Green Tavern. I took dancing lessons
What
there
kind of
on
dancing?
Tuesday nights.
What kind of dancing?
Old time, like the waltz.
Did you do like the salsa and the
Outside
rumba?
in the garden, all kinds of lessons, but not modern day dancing.
You're right.
And it was quite fun, and you just dance with whomever happened to be there.
See, that's the power of positive thinking that Norman Peale, Vincent Peale. I'm slaughtering his name. I wanted to throw Saint in there, but there's been Saint. Norman Vincent Peale. Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. And here's a good one too, Ann. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll bring it up. This is about Lancaster, Ohio. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, the gentleman that wrote it, Brian Alexander's from Lancaster, but it's not really about Lancaster. This is an amazing book. For those of us who aren't so much into politics and business and the ins and outs and workings of economics, he takes this apart and puts it back together in a story about Lancaster, Ohio. And I don't know if your viewers knew this or you knew this, but I wrote it down here somewhere, 1947, Lancaster was claimed the epitome of the perfect American town.
No, I didn't
And
know
then
that.
business came in, bought out Anchor Hocking, bought it out again, did some dirty dealing in terms of quick money, but not caring about the workers or the factory, and decimated the town. And he takes that all apart and says, this is why America, especially rural America, is suffering in some regard.
Because of some business decisions
Well,
that
there
have been
were
made.
all these places that thrived on one business, and that owner took care of that business and his employees. But new business came in, bought them out, and they're just numbers.
Yes.
So
I want to read that.
Glass
That sounds
House.
fascinating.
you can borrow it.
Thank you.
You
I
don't have
will.
it.
I will. Glass House. The
I'll
1%
give it to
economy and the shattering of the all-American town. So that does some. You know what? You and I have similar interests. We do. This is something that I think I
I'm
will
not
read.
surprised about that at all.
Yeah. So reading has had a tremendous impact on you.
Of course.
Yes. It's a big part of your life, and
A local teacher, Mrs. Hammond, Judge Hammond was married to her son. Mrs. Hammond was known as a very stern teacher.
ooh, what great.
And I can't say that I was a reader before this, 7th or 8th grade. And she insisted before lunch that we would all read, and you did not dare make a sound. And I didn't like her in the beginning because she took my recess minutes away and made me read. By end of year, I loved this woman. She opened doors that I didn't know were there to open. And I had probably read 30 books by the end of the year, and she only made us read 15 minutes. I would start staying in and asking her if I could stay a little longer and read.
Do you remember one particular book from that
Oh,
year?
of course, Little Women was one of them.
Love it.
It was one of them, and I was in
Yes.
love with Joe, like lots of tomboys.
Did you identify with her?
Yeah, so much. I love Mrs. Hammond so much by the end of my bachelor degree that I asked her if she would be my supervisory teacher, and she agreed.
Now, this is Nancy Hammond's mother-in-law?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. She
Okay.
was a wonderful teacher.
That's a wonderful tribute.
Yes,
That-
very much.
A
so.
stern, no-nonsense teacher opened up the world of reading and books to you.
And I needed to be forced.
Yes.
I went kicking and screaming, but once I was there, I couldn't thank that woman enough.
You know, more and more schools and classrooms and teachers are now trying to adopt like 40 books a year, and they're trying to really put in their classroom time for kids to sit and be quiet and read for 15 or 20 minutes.
Even in 8th grade, in Taiwan I taught 8th grade. I was also the counselor, but I read to them because I knew they needed more English to hear. There's a better way of putting that, but they need exposed to more English. But they enjoyed it so much. I ended up reading longer and longer, and finally the principal was like, "You have to quit reading that much, and you've got to go back to teaching English." I'm like, "You're right. You're totally right."
But they were learning.
I read Johnny Tremaine, Where the Red Fern Grows, and
Did they cry? Did they cry
Oh,
with that?
they did. They
Yes.
did. Yes, and they were 8th graders.
Yeah, I cried with Johnny Tremaine, and I cried at Where the Red Fern Grows.
Yes, that's
Oh, my
another one
goodness.
you could read over and over.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's wonderful. Well, Vickey, I could sit and talk to you for hours and hours and hours. So thank you, though, for coming by and sharing a few minutes with us about your life and your reading and your interests. And like I said, you are the world's most interesting woman.
And it's an honor, and I have a rival in you, that's for sure.
Oh,
I just try to have fun and make every day a little better.
good.
Which is all we can do, right?
And I'm looking forward to dinner soon.
I'll start planning.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.